America is filled with strange places, but some locations take secrecy to an entirely different level. These are places you cannot visit. Places with round-the-clock guards, locked gates, surveillance systems that can detect a bird flapping its wings, and warning signs that leave out the one detail everyone wants to know. Why? Mount Weather in Virginia looks like a normal wooded mountain from the outside, but beneath the trees is one of the most secret and heavily guarded facilities in the country. It is so secure that almost nothing about what happens inside has ever been released publicly. What we do know goes back to a single catastrophic event. On December 1st, 1974, a TWA flight crashed into the mountain during a storm. Local firefighters rushed toward the impact site, only to be intercepted by federal agents. The rescuers were ordered to leave immediately and were told that the federal government would handle it. This was the first time ordinary Americans even realized there was something inside Mount Weather. Freedom of Information Act requests later revealed that Mount Weather is a continuity of government site. This means that in a national crisis, the country's most important leaders can be evacuated here. But that explanation is only part of the story. The facility has grown over the decades. Additional underground levels exist, but are classified. Entire sections of the compound remain off limits even to government employees without specific clearance. The location is guarded 24 hours a day by armed personnel, motion detectors, and sensors buried underground. Anyone approaching the fences is confronted almost instantly. Despite this, no official document explains what is in the deepest sections of the facility or why it requires continuous military-grade protection even during peaceful times. And that is what keeps Mount Weather on the list. Dulce, New Mexico is a tiny town, but drive toward Archuleta Mesa and the atmosphere changes instantly. Locals warn visitors to stay away. Black SUVs appear seemingly out of nowhere. Motion sensors line the roads, and the closer you get, the clearer it becomes that someone does not want people near the mesa. The federal government denies operating any facility in the area. There are no official buildings listed, no public records, and no acknowledged activities. Yet dozens of eyewitnesses have reported helicopters without markings, bright lights flashing at night, and what looks like the glow of ventilation shafts inside the rock. Whatever is inside Archuleta Mesa has been guarded for decades, and the security has only intensified. With no official explanation, this remains one of the most mysterious, restricted areas in the country. Green Bank is famous for its radio quiet zone. Cell phones, Wi-Fi, and anything that emits radio waves are banned. Everyone thinks the security is because of the massive Green Bank telescope, but this is only part of the story. Residents report that certain wooded areas near the observatory are patrolled constantly. These patrols are not conducted by local police. Witnesses describe unmarked trucks that appear at the exact moment someone wanders too close to specific forested sections. Some of these areas contain fenced-off structures that do not appear on any public map. They are guarded day and night. People have tried to hike around the fences and were intercepted almost instantly by security personnel who refused to identify themselves. Even stranger, the observatory has the authority to shut down electronic devices within the zone without warning. This includes cars, generators, and other equipment, but no one has ever explained why these powers are needed in areas that are nowhere near the telescope. The Teapot Dome scandal involved illegal oil drilling on federal land almost a century ago, and what most people do not know is that part of the land contained enormous natural caverns that later became a restricted site. After the scandal ended, the government sealed off these caverns and placed them under continuous surveillance. Today, the area is surrounded by fences, motion detectors, and armed security. No public tours exist, no geological surveys are allowed, and the Department of Energy refuses to confirm what is stored there. What makes this even more mysterious is that satellite images show ventilation systems and what appear to be reinforced entrances built into the ground, yet there are no public records describing construction at the site. Teapot Dome is a place that the public forgot, but the federal government never stopped watching. Quincy is known for its massive tech presence, including data centers for Microsoft and Yahoo, but locals talk about one facility that stands out from the rest. It is a windowless structure surrounded by cameras, fencing, and armed guards. Unlike the tech centers, this building has no corporate logo, it is not listed on any company website, and it receives deliveries at night from trucks with their license plates covered. Rumors about this building intensified in 2018 when residents reported hearing a deep humming noise coming from underground. Others noticed that the facility stayed bright 24 hours a day, even during storms and power outages that shut down other buildings in the area. Internet analysts noticed that Quincy is the site of a major backbone connection for global communication lines. This has led to speculation that the anonymous building is a government interception point, but no agency has ever confirmed this. Whatever its purpose, the non-stop security makes it clear that someone is protecting something extremely sensitive inside. Oak Ridge National Laboratory has a long history of nuclear research. The campus is enormous and much of it is restricted, but several structures known as the unlisted buildings are so secret that even workers with high clearance levels cannot access them. Employees refer to these buildings using codes instead of names. Some lack building numbers entirely. They have no public descriptions, no tours, and no official acknowledgement. Security officers guard the entrances around the clock, and anyone who walks too close is questioned. If you look at satellite views, you can see the structures clearly, but if you overlay the official layout, the buildings vanish. It is as if they have been erased. Former employees have stated that these buildings contain experimental facilities unrelated to public projects. Others believe they house classified energy research, but no one knows why the secrecy needs this level of constant security. Dugway Proving Ground is known for chemical and biological testing. The entire installation is heavily guarded, but the area known only as the restricted zone is treated differently. There are military bases that allow some level of press access, but Dugway does not, and the restricted zone goes even further. Guards patrol the fences 24 hours a day. Sensors cover miles of desert, reinforced checkpoints sit on empty dirt roads, and drones patrol overhead. In 2012, a group of hikers accidentally crossed into an unmarked part of the zone, and within minutes, 4 helicopters surrounded them. They were detained, questioned, and escorted out by armed personnel. The reason behind this extreme security has never been explained. Officially, Dugway handles defense research, but the restricted zone is never mentioned in public reports. Whatever is inside, the government treats it as something far beyond normal military secrecy. In the middle of the desert sits a tunnel system so heavily monitored that even standing near the fence can trigger a security response. Everyone talks about Area 51, but the Nevada National Security Site might be even stranger. Specifically, the location called the Forgotten Tunnels by locals. These tunnels were originally created for nuclear blast experiments, but after testing ended, instead of sealing them, the government increased the security. Today, the tunnels are surrounded by barbed wire, motion detectors, and long-range cameras. White trucks with government plates patrol the area day and night, and anyone walking near the boundary is stopped. What makes the tunnels mysterious is that no public research has been conducted there in decades. There are no scheduled activities and no official purpose, yet guards protect them continuously. Denver International Airport is famous for conspiracy theories, but the real mystery lies beneath the surface. Construction workers have confirmed that deep underground, tunnels were built during the early development of the airport. These tunnels were supposed to be part of a baggage system, but when the system failed, the tunnels were sealed. Except not all of them were. One section remains active. Employees say that guards stand watch 24 hours a day near service elevators that lead below the airport. These guards are not from airport security, they are federal officers. Whenever maintenance crews request access to the lower levels, they are denied unless a federal escort accompanies them. Even then, workers are only allowed into specific sections. The existence of an underground bunker has been supported by multiple contractor reports, but no agency has admitted what the bunker is used for. Given the size of the airport, analysts believe it may be a continuity of government location, but again, the level of secrecy does not match any official explanation. Denver International Airport's deepest level remains one of the most strange and most secure spots in America. No place in America is guarded more tightly than the mountain that holds Raven Rock, except the second mountain that the government refuses to talk about. Raven Rock in Pennsylvania is a massive underground complex designed to act as a backup Pentagon. It is heavily guarded and well known, but what most people do not know is that there is an extra site located several miles away that receives the same level of protection with none of the public acknowledgement. This second site is visible on satellite images as a fenced-in area with several structures that look similar to Raven Rock. But unlike Raven Rock, it has no records, no designation, and no government statement confirming its purpose. Locals say they regularly see military vehicles entering the private road that leads towards this site. Helicopters circle the area at night, sensors line the woods, and the gate is guarded 24 hours a day by federal officers with no identifying insignia. All we know for certain is that the government guards it intensely and refuses to explain why.
Utah Data Center in Bluffdale is one of the most secretive government facilities you've probably never heard of. That's why it's secret. It's massive, covering about 1 million square feet. It's basically designed to collect, store, and analyze enormous amounts of digital data. Emails, texts, phone calls. This is the NSA's way of monitoring potential threats anywhere in the world. Security here is insanely tight. The building is surrounded by fences, cameras, and armed guards, and the airspace above is heavily restricted. In order for it to run smoothly, the walls are thick and the server rooms are climate controlled down to the tiniest detail. You'll never have a problem with internet crashing at this place. Almost nothing about what goes on site has ever been officially revealed though. Journalists and researchers who've tried to report on it usually end up with very little actual confirmed information. What we do know is that it is involved in mass surveillance. Raven Rock is this enormous underground bunker carved into a mountain in Pennsylvania. They built it back in the early 50s. It's a backup Pentagon. If something catastrophic happened to the Capitol, the military could keep running from inside this mountain. Raven Rock has its own power plants, water reservoirs, everything you'd need to survive completely cut off from the outside world. Supposedly, it could hold around 3,000 people during an emergency. There is a dental area, a medical area, a dining hall, dorms. It sounds pretty utilitarian, but I bet they have entertainment areas in there too. I mean, they have to. And this place is actually used. It's not just sitting there in case of emergency, but pretty much everything that goes on inside is classified. Cheyenne Mountain in Colorado has a facility many of us have heard about, but almost nobody's ever seen. Buried under about 2,000 feet of solid granite, it used to be the main nerve center for NORAD's aerospace warning and defense operations. Inside the mountain, they built 15 of these 3-story buildings. And all of these buildings are mounted on over 1,000 giant springs. The springs absorb shock from earthquakes, explosions, nuclear blasts. They actually designed this place to survive a 30 megaton nuclear explosion happening just over a mile away. There are these massive blast doors that can seal off different sections, and it's also able to handle high altitude electromagnetic pulses, meaning if there was some kind of nuclear attack that shut down electronics everywhere, this place would still be running. It's probably one of the safest places on the planet. It's been downgraded from its original Cold War mission, but it still operates as a backup command center. Mount Weather is a mountain in Virginia, but underneath it, there's this bunker called the High Point Special Facility. This place was built to house high-ranking military or politicians during a catastrophe. It built it during the Cold War, and it's fully equipped with everything. It has its own water supply, power generators, communication systems, and not only did they make it functional, they made it livable. Again, not sure what kind of entertainment they have down there, but I've heard of there being big movie theaters in some of these places, which doesn't sound all that outlandish. Mount Weather also works as one of FEMA's main command centers. During a crisis, they can coordinate emergency response from there, broadcast communications, and use it as a relocation point for important government branches. It's actually pretty well known. The government doesn't hide that it exists. They just don't tell you anything about what actually happens inside. Dugway Proving Ground is this huge remote army testing facility in Utah's Great Salt Lake Desert. Since 1942, they've been running experiments on chemical and biological weapons. These days, it is less about offensive use and more about figuring out how to detect these things and survive them. Supposedly, that is. They've got these huge target areas marked with perfect circles. That's where they release test chemicals and track how they spread under different weather conditions. Things have gone wrong here before. In 1968, a nerve agent called VX accidentally got outside the base, killed a bunch of sheep. That's the kind of stuff they're working with. Obviously, you can't just visit Dugway, but back in 2014, they let a photographer named David Maisel in, but only after months of vetting, and he had to be escorted the entire time. Dugway Proving Ground became an obsession for him long before he ever set foot inside. Back in 2003, he was flying over the Great Salt Lake for another project when he noticed this strange grid of tiny buildings lined up in perfect rows. It turned out to be an army depot where the US had been storing around 30 million pounds of aging chemical weapons. Everything from mustard gas to sarin, all the worst stuff you can think of. He tried to get permission in 2004 to visit, but the Pentagon denied him, obviously. But almost a decade later, in 2014, they finally gave him the green light. He started on the ground, photographing the structures built to test how chemical agents spread. Later, he moved to the air, snapping images of those massive circles and grids carved into the desert floor that I talked about earlier. Plum Island is this small island off the coast of Long Island, New York. It's home to the Plum Island Animal Disease Center, where the government researches some of the most dangerous animal diseases. The facility has been around since 1954. They set it up to study foreign animal diseases, and right now, it's one of the only places in the entire United States where they work with live foot and mouth disease samples. This virus spreads insanely fast in animals, so most labs aren't allowed anywhere near it. They also did biological weapon research targeting livestock here during the Cold War. They stopped doing that in 1969. The island is completely locked down, only authorized personnel are allowed in, and they work in biosafety level 3 labs because some of these pathogens are incredibly dangerous. One mistake and you could have a disease outbreak. There's actually a controversial future for Plum Island though. The facility is being phased out and there's plans to close it around 2028. They're moving operations to a new lab in Kansas, and people have some mixed feelings about that. Some think it's safer to keep this kind of research on, an island where containment is obviously easier, but others think a modern facility makes more sense. The Hanford site in Washington state is this massive contaminated area left over from America's Cold War nuclear program. During World War II and the years after, Hanford produced plutonium for nuclear weapons. Today, it's one of the most contaminated sites in the entire country, and huge sections are completely off limits to the public. The site covers about 580 square miles. Most of it is a secured zone because of all the radioactive and chemical waste left behind from decades of weapons production. The groundwater under large parts of this site is still way above safe pollution limits, and that's after decades of cleanup. A lot of the danger comes from these massive underground tanks filled with radioactive sludge. They were only ever meant to be temporary, but now everyone's trying to figure out how to safely deal with what's inside them. It's going to take decades to fully clean up. Y-12 in Oak Ridge, Tennessee is one of the central hubs of America's nuclear weapons programs. They built it during the Manhattan Project, and it's still running today, doing basically the same kind of work. The main mission at Y-12 is handling weapons-grade uranium. They make parts for nuclear warheads, they take old ones apart, store the material, and they supply uranium for some of the Navy's nuclear subs. As you can imagine, security is incredibly tight here. It's not open to public tours, period. Some of the older buildings that handled plutonium and enriched uranium are so dangerous they're being deactivated or just torn down. It's a huge environmental effort happening behind the scenes just to keep contamination contained. Kings Bay in Georgia plays a huge role in what's called the nuclear triad, the 3 ways the US could deliver nuclear weapons: by land, by aircraft, and by submarines. Kings Bay is responsible for the submarine part. It's a naval submarine base, one of the most strategic bases in the US. This is where the country keeps its Ohio-class nuclear ballistic missile submarines, basically giant submarines built to carry long-range nuclear missiles called Trident missiles. These subs are a major part of how the US deters nuclear attacks because they can hide deep in the ocean and still launch a strike if needed. Kings Bay also has a huge repair and maintenance center called the Trident Refit Facility, where crews work on the subs so they can stay out at sea for long stretches of time. There's also the Strategic Weapons Facility, which is where they store and handle the nuclear warheads. Extremely dangerous work, and the base has training areas for submarine crews. The land around the base is fenced off, the waterfront is restricted, and there's constant monitoring. So, Fort Knox. Basically, this massive vault sitting inside an army base in Kentucky, it holds an enormous amount of gold. To say this place is insanely locked down would be an understatement. The vault door is 21 inches thick, 21 inches. Not only does it weigh over 20 tons, it's also made from this special steel that drills and torches can't even get through. So you're not breaking the door, but what about the combination? Well, that is on a 100-hour time clock. That means even if you had the combination, you couldn't just open it whenever you wanted. The timer has to run out first. You've also got fences all around it, night vision cameras everywhere, microphones picking up the smallest of sounds, and the US Mint Police constantly patrolling. Nobody even knows the full combination to open the door. Each staff member only knows their piece of it, so you'd need multiple people just to get it open. Almost nothing ever leaves this vault. They take tiny test samples during audits every now and then, but actual gold moving in or out, that barely happens.
According to reports from locals, a top-secret military outpost located in the small town of Dulce, New Mexico, was allegedly built in the 1900s to monitor alien communication signals, experiment on alien technologies, experiment on humans, and protect the world from intergalactic armed forces who most certainly do not come in peace. Dulce has a known population of about 2,700 people. It's a small town, so small that it doesn't even have one single traffic light, so it makes sense that even if the government was super careful in keeping the Dulce alien monitoring base tippy top secret, at least one or two people were bound to notice it. I mean, with not much else going on in the area, anything out of the ordinary is pretty hard to miss. Allegedly, alien signals were first intercepted in 1979, and then the following year something strange and pretty gross happened. The bodies of dead animals began turning up all over town, mutilated beyond casual recognition. After that, the townspeople became increasingly suspicious about what exactly the government was doing in what they suspected to be a secret underground bunker located on the outskirts of the town.
Now, we can't talk about Dulce Base without telling the story of Paul Benowitz. He was an American businessman, electronics expert, and UFO investigator known for having been caught up in one of the worst disinformation campaigns in the realm of UFO and alien conspiracies. His UFO research began in the 70s. He joined a civilian UFO investigation group called APRO and started investigating cattle mutilations, which were often being linked to UFO sightings at the time. In April of '79, Benowitz went to a public meeting about cattle mutilations where he met Highway Patrol Officer Gabe Valdez, who was also looking into the incidents. By July of that year, Benowitz began his own UFO research, using his equipment to film strange lights and record unusual radio signals near Kirtland Air Force Base. He became convinced that he was picking up communications from alien spacecraft and believed he had discovered a secret alien base, which he called Dulce Base. Benowitz's claims became pretty well known in the UFO community. In 1983, he was featured in a story about his supposed filming of UFOs over a weapons storage facility. He also believed that he was communicating with aliens via his computer. Benowitz's theories became more elaborate over time. He claimed aliens were controlling humans with electromagnetic devices and that there was a network of underground UFO bases. By 1988, Benowitz's mental health began to deteriorate. He accused his wife of being controlled by aliens and tried to barricade himself in his home. His family had him admitted to a mental health facility where he stayed for a month, but it turns out there was more to this story. In 1989, William Moore, a UFO researcher, actually admitted that he'd been feeding Benowitz false information to push him into a breakdown. This was all part of a big disinformation campaign by the CIA and the Air Force Office of Special Investigations. Benowitz passed away in 2003. Unfortunately, he was never really the same after his breakdown.
Around the 1980s, individuals who claimed to have been associated with the base, which eventually came to be known as the Dulce Alien Center, started coming forward and openly sharing their experiences. One man, Philip Schneider, claimed to have helped build the facility and to have even bore witness to a full-on battle between humans and alien beings, aka the Battle of Dulce. Philip Schneider was an engineer and alleged whistleblower who worked on and at the base for many years. He claimed that during construction of the underground bunker, which was always closely monitored by special forces, he and his crew came across something that they had understandably never seen before. A group of 7-foot-tall aliens who were less than pleased about the confrontation. A battle then broke out, during which Snyder was knocked to the ground by an energy beam which also burnt off a few of his fingers. The fighting between the species continued until 60 humans had been killed and the aliens retreated. Not the best day to be a baseman, if you ask me.
Aviator John Lear, who flew cargo planes for the CIA during the Vietnam era, was described as one of the most influential sources of UFO conspiracies. He said some interesting things about Dulce Base too. So in December of 1987, Lear came out with this big statement detailing all the supposed insider information that he had on the US government and their collusion with extraterrestrials. His statement included info about all sorts of things like MJ-12, who we've covered on the channel in detail, Roswell, all sorts of things. All these dots connect. Lear mentioned a group of insiders formed by President Truman, known as Majestic 12, to investigate UFOs. He listed 3 famous UFO crashes, one near Roswell, another near Aztec, New Mexico, and a third near Laredo, Texas. According to Lear, the government went to extreme lengths, including using deadly force to keep these incidents secret. He also referred to the 1952 Washington, D.C. UFO incident and a supposed 1964 meeting with aliens at Holloman Air Force Base. He even claimed that the government sanctioned alien abductions, implants, and alien-human hybrids. More on that in a bit. When it came to Dulce Base, he said he had inside information about that deadly altercation between aliens and the US military that resulted in over 60 human deaths that Hannah just mentioned.
Despite the facts that the feds have on numerous occasions claimed that they have a total of 0 military bases located in the small town of Dulce, New Mexico, it is overwhelmingly believed by conspiracy theorists that 1, they most certainly do have a base there, and 2, not only is it used as an alien tracking and monitoring base, but also an experimental medical hybrid facility where the government creates things that have only ever before existed in fairy tales and folklore, like minotaurs and centaurs and human alien hybrids. Basically, the base is an extraterrestrial-loving mad scientist's wet dream. The Dulce alien facility uses advanced technologies, some of which were likely stolen from alien races, to dissect dead humans, aliens, and animals, sew their bodies together, and then resurrect them. Honestly, that sounds disgusting, and at this point I'm really hoping the whole thing is made up, because the last thing anyone needs right now is a real-life version of American Horror Story's most atrocious biological experiments. It is a no from me, dog.
Here's something we don't bring up much when it comes to top secret UFO military bases: funding. The black budget is said to be the financial backbone of operations like Dulce, a hidden pot of money drawn from taxpayer dollars, but of course not disclosed to the public or even most government officials. And because the black budget isn't subjected to the same scrutiny as other government spending, it can support the kind of high-risk, high-reward research said to be happening at places like Dulce Base. Now, the black budget is not a conspiracy. This really does exist, but there's a lot of speculation as to how this money is spent. Thus, we get conspiracies like this, which may or may not be true. But what is 100% true, though, is that the black budget makes up for about 7% of the United States military spending, which, 7% doesn't sound like a lot, but when you consider how much the United States spends on the military, this turns out to be a pretty big number. The black budget is estimated to be about $50 billion a year. That's $50 billion a year, or perhaps even more, being spent on top secret classified projects. No wonder people have some iffy ideas.
Alright, if sewing dead humans and animals and aliens together and then reanimating them wasn't twisted enough, according to insiders, the facility not only experiments with the dead, but also very much so with the living. Why? Well, so that they can create the perfect zombie army to fight off the aliens when the time comes, which apparently it's on its way. It's super normal stuff. Basically, the belief is that the Dulce Alien Center is currently looking for a way to manufacture human zombies and then perfect that process. The goal being to grow either a virus or bacteria that can infect ordinary, everyday, living civilians at mass and then turn them into essentially the Walking Dead, living dead zombies that will bow down to the government, fight hard for their country against alien forces, and also not cry if they just so happen to lose an arm or two in the process. If you're living in Dulce, please be sure to wash your hands thoroughly and often. Or, you could just move.
Dulce Base is often described as having multiple underground levels, each with its own specific purpose. Level 1 is where the security and communications hub is supposedly located. This is basically the control center for the base. Level 2 is the living quarters for both human and some say alien personnel. Think of it as a large underground dormitory. It has living spaces, there's dining areas, and recreational facilities. I would love to see this in person. Just aliens and humans playing board games. For some reason, that's the first thing that came to mind. Also badminton, for some reason. I don't know. Level 3 is where you have laboratories and medical facilities. Researchers conduct experiments in various fields, like genetics and advanced tech. Level 4 is rumored to focus on mind control experiments, apparently. Supposedly, scientists here work on developing techniques for psychological manipulation and control. This can involve anything from brainwashing to implanting devices in people's brains. Level 5 is the alien housing area, where extraterrestrial beings live exclusively. But level 6 and 7 apparently gets even creepier, and for the sake of time, I'm just gonna keep you on your toes and discuss these levels after some more info from Hannah.
Dulce, it's got its hybrid, zombies, crazy out of this world tech, and also apparently alien incubation. That's right. According to reports, an alien was found growing inside of a dead cow. Remember how James mentioned all those dead cows earlier? Well, that's right. When a dead cow was found on the side of the road, its stomach was cut open to reveal something that looked like a cross between a human, a monkey, and a frog. This thing didn't have any bones in the head, and it was full of water. Whether or not this was another one of the facility's strange experiments involving hybridizing humans, animals, and aliens, or if it was some kind of wild 1 in a million natural mutation, or if it was in fact some kind of strange alien surrogacy is unknown. But what is known is that it was probably a super terrifying and incredibly gross discovery for whoever was unfortunate enough to stumble across the scene. But yeah, if you're living in Dulce and you see any cows giving birth to aliens, let us know.
Okay, so levels 6 and 7, said to be the scariest parts of this underground base. Level 6 has a rather ominous nickname, Nightmare Hall. This is where all those rumored genetic experiments take place. Experiments involving humans, animals, and yes, even aliens. As Hannah said, this is where bizarre and horrifying creatures are said to be created. Hybrids that are part human, part animal, or even part alien. Then you have level 7. The deepest and most secretive level, where the darkest activities are rumored to be carried out. This level is so top secret, it's hard to even find any supposed insider info on it. I mean, we already have mind control, aliens, horrifying experiments on living subjects. What the hell else could be going on down there? Well, that's kind of the scary part, the fear of the unknown. Here's what I think though. Dulce Base is anything like a hospital. This very bottom level could be something akin to a morgue. And not that I'd ever really want to hang out in a morgue, but one in a place like this, that sounds like something out of my worst nightmares. There's a whole abandoned underground city beneath Seattle. And no, I'm not just talking about a system of tunnels. This is an actual city that people used to live and work in. Back in 1889, the Great Seattle Fire tore through downtown, leveling almost everything in its path. The city decided to rebuild, but instead of just throwing up new buildings, they did something kind of different. They raised the entire street level. They dumped soil and debris between buildings, creating this elevated ground floor. The problem problem was that some business owners had already started rebuilding before the city's plans were finalized, so their brand new ground floors ended up underground. So instead of tearing them down, the old sidewalks and storefronts got sealed off, leaving behind this maze of hidden streets and alleyways beneath Pioneer Square. By 1907, city officials condemned the underground, worried it was turning into this breeding ground for crime and disease, because yes, people still went down there. For years, it sat abandoned and forgotten, until the 60s, when a historian named Bill Speidel turned it into a tourist attraction. Today, you can actually take a guided tour through these eerie, half-lit tunnels and see the old storefronts still standing there frozen in time. And of course, because it's a creepy underground city, there are plenty of ghost stories as well. Los Angeles might be famous for its glitzy Hollywood lights, but beneath the surface, some believe there's something far older and stranger hiding in the dark. In the 1930s, mining engineer George Warren Shufeldt became obsessed with a legend passed down by the Hopi natives, which spoke of this ancient civilization of lizard people. Not the type of reptilian shapeshifters we think of today with conspiratorial stuff. This was a race that were said to have revered the lizard, and these people supposedly built this massive underground city under what is now LA 5,000 years ago. This subterranean city, allegedly designed in the shape of a giant lizard, supposedly stretched from the northeast LA all the way to the Central Library downtown, with secret passageways leading to the ocean, allowing seawater to push fresh air into the chambers. And Shufeldt claimed to have developed a device that he called a radio X-ray, which he used to detect underground tunnels, and maybe even more exciting, if you're a greedy little troll like me, a treasure room beneath Fort Moore Hill. I just hear the word gold, and gold. Anyway, he convinced the city to let him drill a 350-foot shaft in 1934, promising that gold artifacts would be found. But before he could reach anything, the dig was abandoned because of cave-in concerns and funding issues. After that, Shufeldt disappeared from the public eye, dying in 1957 without ever proving his claims. But winding things back a little, right before Shufeldt was about to start the dig, a local psychic named Edith Eldon Robinson claimed to have had a vision of, quote, a vast city in mammoth tunnels extending to the seashore. Just a coincidence, or was something really buried beneath Los Angeles, something we were never meant to find? Disney World. Don't it just make you want to smile? It's the most magical place on earth, they say, but what a lot of people don't know is that there's a whole hidden world under the park. Down below, there's this massive network of tunnels called utilidors, and these underground passages let cast members, move around the park without being seen by guests. And think about it, have you ever seen someone dressed as Mickey Mouse casually walking through Tomorrowland on a smoke break? I haven't, because I've never been to Disney World or Land or whatever, but for those of you who have you ever seen that? Probably not, because Disney is all about maintaining the illusion, and these tunnels make sure of that. They also house a bunch of behind-the-scenes operations, from trash collection, costume changes. The tunnels are so big that they're actually considered the first floor of the park, with what we see at ground level actually being the second floor. But is that all there is to it? Of course not. That's not what we do in this channel. We always take things a step further, and with a secret underground system this big, there are always urban legends and rumors. Some say there are hidden rooms used for secretive Disney business, that late at night in those dark tunnels beneath the park, things get a little less family friendly. Buried deep within Cheyenne Mountain in Colorado is one of the most secure underground facilities in the world. Built during the Cold War, this bunker was designed to survive a nuclear attack and keep the US government running. The facility is buried under 2,000 feet of granite, protected by blast doors that weigh 25 tons each. Inside, there are multiple buildings sitting on giant springs designed to absorb shock from explosions. But this place isn't just a bunker, it's an entire underground city. It has its own power plant, water reservoirs, and even a subway system for moving people around. Officially, it was the headquarters of NORAD, the North American Aerospace Defense Command, but over the years, rumors started spreading about what else might be going on down there, and some believe it's still in use as a top secret command center. Others say it's connected to an even deeper underground network that stretches across the country. Whatever the case, If you're looking for a place to ride out the apocalypse, this would be a solid choice. If the government ever had to disappear overnight, they'd probably head straight to Mount Weather. This underground city, found in Virginia's Blue Ridge Mountains, is one of the most classified government facilities in America, originally built during the Cold War as a nuclear bunker. It's meant to house top government officials in case of an emergency, and again, this place is a full-on underground metropolis. It has office buildings, a hospital, a fire department, even its own zip code. So if you're not in the government's VIP list though, then you suck, and you'll probably never see it in person. The entire site is heavily guarded too, and whatever happens inside is classified. The conspiracy crowd, of course, has some wild theories about Mount Weather. Could it be where the government keeps files on every American citizen? Is it possible it's connected to a larger network of underground bases, including Area 51? Is this place really just for government officials, or are there secret tunnels leading to underground bunkers for the ultra-rich? I think that's probably the case, especially based on what's going on lately. Whatever the case though, if the world ever goes south, don't expect an invite to this place. Washington, D.C. has no shortage of secrets, but one of the strangest involves an abandoned tunnel system hidden beneath L'Enfant Plaza. Originally part of an old underground trolley system, these tunnels were built in the 1940s, but later abandoned when the city moved to a more modern subway system. Unlike other abandoned tunnels though, these ones are sealed off so tightly that even urban explorers struggle to get in. So what's in there? Well, some think not much, that it's just another forgotten piece of infrastructure, but others think the tunnels may still be operating. Given DC's history of secret bunkers and underground facilities, it wouldn't be too surprising if there's more going on under the surface than we're being told. After all, if you were going to hide something important, wouldn't an old, sealed-off tunnel system be the perfect place? Back in 1909, the Arizona Gazette published a story about an alleged discovery deep within the Grand Canyon. It was an underground city that looked like something straight out of ancient Mesoamerica. According to the article, explorers found this series of tunnels that were filled with all these mysterious artifacts. There were giant statues and what looked like Egyptian-style hieroglyphics on the walls. The Smithsonian was supposedly involved, but here's where things get a little sketchy. If you ask them today, they'll tell you that they have no record of this ever happening. And while it's easy to chalk this story up as a hoax for that very reason, some people still wonder if the government covered it up, either to protect an important historical find or to hide something even bigger. There are even theories that the Grand Canyon itself may have once been home to an ancient advanced civilization on a bigger scale. You probably don't think of warehouses and data centers as something secretive, but Missouri is home to some of the biggest underground storage facilities in the world. Carved into old limestone mines, these massive underground spaces stretch for miles and are used from everything from cold storage to government records. Places like Subtropolis, yes, that is its actual name, are so large that they have their own roads and even postal addresses. Some of these underground facilities are open for business, but others are more mysterious. Who really knows what's hidden in the deepest sections? One theory is that these underground spaces are connected to secret government bunkers. Sitting beneath the luxurious Greenbrier Resort in West Virginia is one of America's best-kept Cold War secrets. Built in the 1950s, this underground bunker was designed to house Congress in case of nuclear war. It had dormitories, a cafeteria, a medical clinic, and even a TV studio to broadcast emergency messages. For decades, it stayed hidden in plain sight, disguised as part of the resort's conference center, until a journalist exposed it in 1992. And after that, the government decommissioned it, but the bunker is still there. You can even take a tour of it today. And based on some of the images I've looked at, it looks like kind of like the back rooms. But of course, with one Cold War bunker revealed, the question is, where did they move Congress's new emergency hideout? If you've ever been to the Denver International Airport, you know it's got some seriously weird vibes to it. From the creepy murals to the giant demonic horse statue outside, the place feels like it was designed by a secret society, and some say that it was. The strangest theory about the DIA is that there's this massive underground bunker system hidden beneath it. Officially, the airport does have underground tunnels, but some people believe that they're part of a much larger, top secret complex designed to house government officials and elites in the event of a catastrophe. And some say there's alien stuff going on down there too. Some even claim the bunkers connect to other underground facilities across the country. There's no hard proof, obviously, but when you consider how weirdly over budget the airport was, billions of dollars mysteriously vanished during its construction, it definitely makes you wonder if something's being hidden down there.
Coming in at number 10, the Elite Disney 33 Club in Anaheim, California. Disney might be open to the public, but this area of Disney is actually off limits and reserved only for the elite of the elite. In Disneyland, located in Anaheim, California, there is an area that was built by Walt Disney, but he unfortunately never got the chance to enjoy it due to his death before construction was finished. Now, the club was originally created as a place for him to entertain important guests. Now this area is still for important guests as the entry is invite only, on top of a $100,000 fee and $30,000 in annual dues. For those of you who have been to Disneyland, which I have not by the way, you probably have walked through New Orleans Square, which is a replica of Louisiana's iconic city. Somewhere there though, you'll find Club 33, a members only destination. Now the invite only club has a wait list and I doubt that I'll ever get to go there, but it sounds really cool. Number 9. The Hollywood sign, Los Angeles, California. I think you all know what I'm talking about when I bring up the Hollywood sign. Now, you might be confused. It's a huge tourist attraction. Yes, it is. But there are areas around the sign that are prohibited. The closest you can get to the sign is behind and above the sign where you can enjoy the fabulous view of the city. The sign is on rough, steep terrain and there are barriers to prevent unauthorized access. In the year 2000, the Los Angeles Police Department installed a security system featuring motion detection and closed-circuited cameras. Any movement in the marked restricted areas triggers an alarm that notifies the police, therefore you cannot go and touch the sign. Access to other areas are restricted and the area is heavily surveilled as it's monitored 24/7 as mentioned before by the Los Angeles Police and Fire Departments and park rangers. Although some people have gone through security to vandalize the sign, I mean, does anyone remember Hollyweed on January 1st, 2017? Nope, just me? Okay. Well, it remains mostly prohibited. Number 8. Hart Island, Bronx, New York. Hart Island is located in the Bronx, New York and is a 1-mile long strip of land in the Long Island Sound that has served many functions over centuries. The island's first public use was as a training ground for the United States colored troops in 1864. Since then, Hart Island has been the location of a Union Civil War prison camp, a psychiatric institution, a tuberculosis sanatorium, a potter's field with mass burials, a homeless shelter, a boys reformatory, a jail, a drug rehabilitation center, and a cemetery. You can get to the island, but it is very difficult. Hart Island is only open one weekend each month for families to visit grave sites. Other members of the public must book an appointment months in advance, but it can even be rejected. Coming in at number 7 is New York Stock Exchange, New York City, New York. Thanks to movies including The Wolf of Wall Street and The Big Short, many of us has become fascinated by what goes on inside the New York Stock Exchange. I mean, I know I am. It's easily the most important landmark on Wall Street since the stock exchange practically created the financial district by marketing the neighborhood as an area of business. The main building was built in 1903 and it impressed everybody. This high-profile building was once open to visitors at one point, but it has been closed off to visitors since the September 11th attacks. The increased security now makes it impossible to get too close, but you can soak up all its glory from the outside. It sucks that you can't go inside anymore, but it's a valid reason and safety is important. Number 6. Robbins Island, Suffolk County, New York. Located just off Long Island, this private island is not only extremely valuable as it's impossible to access. The 435-acre teardrop of land belongs to billionaire businessman Louis Bacon and is thought to be worth around $500 million. He purchased it in 1993 at a bankruptcy court auction for only $11 million. He has made significant investments in restoring the neglected island, going so far as to import full-grown oak trees to replace the ones harvested for lumber years earlier. Some non-native grasses were removed from the island and replaced, and hunters reduced the overgrown deer population. The island has the healthiest turtle population in the state, which includes the eastern mud turtle. Lewis has spent years rebuilding the ecosystem, and he believes allowing others on the island will lead to its destruction, so no one can visit. Number 5. The Knickerbocker Club, New York City, New York. If you happen to be among the world's elite, you might just be lucky enough to be invited inside this stunning Georgian mansion. If not, then this is as close as you'll get to the Knickerbocker Club or the Knick. Now, what is it? It's considered one of America's most exclusive societies. It was founded in 1871 by 18 former members of the Union Club who did not like the Union's club expansion of the membership. Among the Knickerbocker Club founders were such prestigious New Yorkers as Alexander Hamilton and John Jacob Astor. This club is considered one of the most aristocratic gentlemen's clubs in the world, and it only has one rule concerning giving out information about the club, and that is to never give any information out about the club ever. The men-only club is secretive, it doesn't even have a website. Their single Yelp review says, "Truly one of the finest private men's clubs in America. We had a lovely dinner with friends there, it is a reciprocal with the club I belong to. Highly recommend if you get an invitation." Now, the fact that members are forbidden to discussing the going-ons with anyone is interesting, but it seems like someone blabbed though, because if it truly was a secret, we wouldn't know about it, now would we? Anyway, it had many notable members, including Franklin D. Roosevelt and financier J.P. Morgan. Number 4. Rikers Island, New York City, New York. Rikers Island is a 413-acre island in the East River between Queens and the Bronx that contains New York City's main jail complex. It's been there since 1932 and has gained a reputation for brutality and mistreatment. Rikers Island has a reputation for violence, both abuse and neglect of inmates, attracting increased press and judicial scrutiny that has resulted in numerous rulings against the New York City government and numerous by inmates on uniformed and civilian staff, often resulting in serious injuries. In May 2013, Rikers Island ranked as one of the 10 worst correctional facilities in the United States. It's also one of the world's largest correctional institutions and mental institutions that's operated by the New York City Department of Correction, which has a budget of $860 million a year. It has a staff of 9,000 officers and 1,500 civilians who manage 100,000 admissions per year. An average daily population is around 10,000 inmates. The likes of David Berkowitz, the serial killer known as Son of Sam, and Sex Pistols Sid Vicious were incarcerated on Rikers, and today it remains one of America's most notorious prisons. Number 3. Mount Weather, Bluemont, Virginia. If the world is ending, I want to go here. Mount Weather is a facility located in Bluemont, Virginia that is controlled by the Federal Emergency Management Agency. This facility is used to support emergency management operations and is located on a 434-acre site and is run by 240 employees. Mount Weather Emergency's Operations Center has important communication links with the White House and reportedly includes an underground bunker with its own hospital, crematorium, and emergency power plant. Today, Mount Weather is home to 6 major disaster operation facilities and remains off limits to civilians. It's considered the safest spot in the world. In the event of a nuclear war or zombie apocalypse, US government officials will be gathered and sent there. It was built during the Cold War, and this facility is designed to protect people and national treasures from an event of global destruction. Number 2. ADX Florence, Florence, Colorado. Could ADX Florence be America's most secure building? I think so. ADX Florence is an American federal prison in Fremont County near Florence, Colorado. It is operated by the Federal Bureau of Prisons, a division of the United States Department of Justice. It opened in 1994 and is classed as a supermax or control unit prison, referring to its extremely high levels of security, as it has a more controlled level of custody than maximum security prison. ADX Florence was commissioned when the Federal Bureau of Prisons needed a unit designed specifically for the secure housing of those prisoners more more capable of extreme violence towards staff or other inmates. As of August 2022, there are a total of 341 inmates housed. They are confined 23 hours per day in single cells with facilities of poured reinforced concrete to deter self-harm, and they are under 24-hour supervision, which is carried out intensively with high staff-inmate ratios. Now, during their hour outside the cell, which can occur at any time, day or night, they are kept under restraint, handcuffed, shackled, or both. The hour outside the cell is for exercise and a phone call if they have earned the privilege. Their diet is restricted due to ensure that the food cannot be used to harm themselves or create unhygienic conditions in their cell. Some cells even have showers, which further reduces the amount of handling of inmates that correctional officers have to perform. In fact, this is such a secure facility that very few images of it exist. And coming in at number 1, Morgan Island, also known as Monkey Island, is located in Beaufort County, South Carolina. Historically, the island has been uninhabited due to its location and distance from the mainland. But in 1979, it was established as a home for a colony of free-ranging rhesus monkeys, hence the name Monkey Island. Originally, the monkey colony now located on Morgan Island was located at the Caribbean Primate Research Center in La Parguera, Puerto Rico. According to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, there were incidents of the free-ranging monkeys escaping, carrying viral herpes B infections, which led to outbreaks in the local population. Puerto Rico was alarmed by this, and South Carolina stepped in to offer an inhabited island for research. In 1979 and 1980, over 1,400 animals were relocated to Morgan Island. The island is owned by the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources, and the monkeys are owned by the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases. The monkeys are used for public health research by the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases. Now, the risk they carry with having diseases is the reasons why it isn't safe for any human to come in contact with them. It's said that there are more than 3,500 monkeys and that it's such a safety issue that they are fed through an automated machine. Some humans have entered the island only if necessary, and after their visit to the island, they are quarantined to prevent spread of any diseases.
At number 10, Bohemian Grove. The only way you're getting to this super exclusive club is if you're a very powerful man. Bohemian Grove is a private club for the most powerful men in the US, located on a restricted 2,700-acre campground on Bohemian Ave in Monte Rio, California. Every July, its members travel to the grounds for a 2-week retreat to relax and specifically not network. There is little known about what happens during the retreat. One thing powerful men are good at is keeping things hidden. The club's all-male membership includes many artists, musicians, prominent business leaders, government officials, former presidents, and senior media executives. Members are also allowed to bring guests and even rent out the grounds for its off-season private events. If your interest has been sparked, good luck getting anywhere near Bohemian Grove. It's protected by security year-round, with the club employing ex-military personnel to secure the area. They also utilize high-end equipment like thermal cameras and vibration sensing alarm systems. Some presidents that have visited are George Bush, Richard Nixon, and Ronald Reagan. Basically, there's no chance of getting in unless you have some pretty important friends. Number 9, the Coca-Cola Vault. Coca-Cola is one of the biggest brands in the world. The corporation was founded in 1892, so the recipe has been around for over 120 years. It definitely has undergone some tweaks since the 1800s, but now it doesn't contain illegal substances, so it really only changed for the better. The secret formula is located inside World of Coca-Cola in Atlanta, Georgia. While you can absolutely visit the museum itself, showcasing the history of the company, the actual vault that holds the formula is off limits. The actual recipe is located inside of a metal box inside of a 6.6-foot high vault, which is then further protected by a barrier, and the entire area has surveillance with armed guards. The door to the vault can only be opened by a keypad with a hand scanner. It sounds a bit extreme to take all these measures over the recipe for Coke, but with the company bringing in over $42 billion in 2022, the extra security makes total sense. I never thought
about seeing the formula of Coke, but now that I know it's in a highly guarded fancy safe, I've never wanted to see something more. Number 8. Granite Mountain Records Vault. The world's largest collection of genealogical records lives in a secure vault located quite literally in the mountains near Salt Lake City, Utah. The Granite Mountain Records Vault was built in 1965 by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. The purpose of the vault is to preserve and protect records of importance to the church, like its vast collection of family history microfilms. This is an extremely secure facility with no public access allowed. What we do know is that it's home to 2.4 million rolls of microfilm containing approximately 3.5 billion images of family history records. I guess when the Mormon Church says they're a family-centered faith, they aren't kidding. The church is collecting all of these microfilmed images in order to digitize them and turn them into digital records available through FamilySearch.org. Some people think there is more going on in that facility than we're being told, with conspiracy theories and suspicions surrounding the whole operation. The vault is located under 700 feet of solid mountain stone with 3 tunnels and 4 cross tunnels inside, spanning over 65,000 square feet. They also have reinforced entrance doors that weigh 14 tons each and were said to be able to withstand a nuclear blast. These factors are what really led people to being skeptical of their operations because A, that's a lot of room for converting microfilms, B, that's a lot of security for the names of the deceased, and C, more recent images of the vault seem to show they've expanded the facility to now have 5 entrances instead of 3. Some thoughts surrounding what else is stored there are significant artifacts, ancient relics, or even a bunker. Maybe the expansion is just for expanding operations, but who knows, maybe they really are hiding something else in that vault. At number 7, Area 51. The widely known name refers to that of a highly classified United States Air Force facility located in Nevada, which is highly prohibited to those without authorization. The fact that it's a government facility that is super off limits and highly guarded has led people to famously associate Area 51 with aliens. For decades now, the facility has been the eye of a conspiracy theory storm, with people convinced that aliens and their technology exist behind its walls. Being told you can't go somewhere or that something is a secret only makes you more interested to know about it. There have been many books, TV shows, and even plans online for massive raids trying to get a glimpse of what lies beyond the very prominent warning signs, to no success. Upon looking at Area 51, it appears like the only protection against unwanted guests is the many warning signs, but apparently not a single thing goes unnoticed. Beyond the gates, cameras see every angle, watching everything below. Locals say the base knows every desert tortoise and jackrabbit that hops the fence. No matter how interested you may be, only a select few have access to what goes on there, causing so many theories and speculations. Who knows, maybe it's alien experiments, maybe it's the most mundane, boring work we could ever imagine. Either way, we aren't going to be finding out anytime soon. Number 6. Cheyenne Mountain Complex. It's located at Cheyenne Mountain Air Force Station, or CMAF, within the Peterson Air Force Base in Colorado Springs, Colorado. The CMAF falls under Air Force Base Command and hosts the activities of several tenant units. At the height of the Cold War, the idea of a hardened command center was thought of as a defense against long-range Soviet bombers. The Army Corps of Engineers supervised the excavation of Cheyenne Mountain and the construction of an operational center. The facility became fully operational as the NORAD Combat Operations Center in early 1967. Since it's a big old place for government stuff, Cheyenne Mountain Complex is protected and closed to the public. It's located under 2,000 feet of granite with 6 tunnels, each 3 stories tall. It's also secured against seismic activity and nuclear explosions. So basically, it's pretty high on the list of places I would like to be during a zombie apocalypse. It has 2 main blast doors which are 3.5 feet thick and weigh over 20 tons. These massive doors close in times of emergency and have only been shut once during 9/11. Since this complex is home to so many important operations like a space control center and national warning facility, it's locked and guarded to the nines. That being said, since we know some of what's going on down there, it's far less desirable to visit. At number 5. Tillamook Rock Lighthouse. Located on the northern Oregon coast of the United States, also known as Terrible Tilly or just Tilly, this is one lighthouse that you can't visit. Tilly gained its nickname from the ferocious storms and difficulties facing the lighthouse keepers. Tillamook Rock rises nearly 100 feet from the sea and is located 20 miles south of the mouth of the Columbian River. Building the lighthouse in the first place was rough. The first person hired to take on the project was master mason and lighthouse builder John Trewavis. Unfortunately, John ended up being swept out to sea after falling off the rock before he could get far. After this incident, craftsmen were reluctant to work on the lighthouse but construction foreman Charles Ballantyne stepped up with a crew of 8. Once on the rock, the men worked under horrible conditions. One day the wind was so bad it swept away their supply house and left workers stranded for 16 days. After preparing the rock, the construction of Tilly took over 100 days to complete. Tillamook Rock Lighthouse began operations in January 1881. With a starting budget of just $50,000, Tilly cost closer to $125,000 in the end. Duty at Tillamook Rock meant isolation, horrible storms, and hazardous environment. On top of that, supplies sent to the rock were often delayed for days or even weeks. It was decommissioned in 1957 due to the extensive wear and tear. The lighthouse has bounced between a few private owners since shutting off its light. Even if you wanted to visit Tilly today, you'd have to resort to a helicopter because of the harsh waters. The rock is even off limits to its owners come time for the seabird nesting season. At number 4, Dulce Base. Like Area 51, Dulce Base is the subject of conspiracy theories claiming that a jointly operated human and alien underground facility exists. Apparently, the facility lies under the Archuleta Mesa Mountain on the Colorado-New Mexico border near the town of Dulce, New Mexico. On the surface, Dulce is just your average small town, so small it doesn't even have a single traffic light. According to the bizarre claims, the small town is just the tip of the iceberg. The alleged massive underground facility is said to be home to unimaginable experiments and technologies. For the extreme alien believers, we are all overlooking a high-tech world full of aliens. According to the conspiracy theorists, the Dulce subterranean base is a 7-story compound that houses human-animal hybrids, human-alien hybrids, and extremely advanced technologies. It is possible that it's all made up, but if the government really was experimenting with aliens, it would make sense that they do it under a mountain near a very small town. One thing I find interesting about the Dulce base is that these theories are not new. First claims of the base's existence date all the way back to the 1930s. The rumors of alien intervention didn't start up until the 70s when a former state police trooper named Gabe Valdez documented unexplained cattle mutilations in the area. There have also been claims of UFO sightings and other paranormal activity in the area over the years. Secret aliens or not, it sounds like there's definitely something strange going on in Dulce that I don't want to look any further into. Number 3, Fort Knox. I bet you've heard at least once in your life someone make a reference to something being harder to get into than Fort Knox, and there's a reason for this. Fort Knox is a United States Army installation in Kentucky, south of Louisville. The reason it's so hard to get into Fort Knox is because of the Bullion Depository, a fortified vault located adjacent to the Fort Knox Army Post. It's operated by the United States Mint Police, and it's super well known for its physical security. The depository was built back in 1936 and is operated by the United States Department of the Treasury. The excessive security is in place because it's home to over half the entire country's gold reserves. Early shipments of gold totaling almost 13,000 metric tons were escorted by combat cars to the depository. In the past, it's also been home to other precious items like the Constitution of the United States and the Declaration of Independence. Fort Knox is so heavily protected and secure that the vicinity is off limits to visitors. Even the president has limitations. In fact, only one president has ever been allowed entry, and that was Franklin Roosevelt back in 1943. Along with the heavy-duty physical barriers and fences, the government pays $5 million annually just for security. Number 2, North Brother Island. This tiny island in New York City is located smack dab in the middle of the East River between the Bronx and Rikers Island. It was the site of the infamous Riverside Hospital for quarantinable diseases. If you've ever heard of Typhoid Mary, this is the place where she spent her final days and finally succumbed to her namesake illness in 1938. After World War II, the island was repurposed as housing for veterans and their families. Then it transitioned to being a rehabilitation center for adolescent substance use, which ended up closing in the 60s amid allegations of fraud. After being home to many dark but important facilities, the entire North Brothers Island was closed permanently to the public and became a bird sanctuary. That being said, photographer Christopher Payne was able to go to the island in 2006 after being granted access by the New York City Department of Recreation. The photos he captured of the island are a little haunting, especially with its history of rehab centers and hospitals for the disease. These photos are interesting to see, but do not make me want to visit the abandoned island even if I could. The whole place looks like it's been taken over by, well, birds, and it's crazy that it's so close to the hustle and bustle of the city. Many people have stepped foot on the North Brother Island over the years, but now the only way to get a glimpse is through Payne's photos or if you have wings and a beak. And at number 1, Niihau Island. This island has been privately owned for over 100 years with only an estimated 170 residents. The invite only island sparked so much interest from travelers across the world due to its extreme exclusivity, commonly referred to as Hawaii's Forbidden Island. It is the westernmost main and 7th largest inhabited island in all of Hawaii. Niihau is also a crucial habitat for some endangered plant species. The island was purchased by Elizabeth St. Clair in 1864 for just $10,000, which would be the equivalent to about $170,000 in 2021. St. Clair purchased it from the Kingdom of Hawaii, and the ownership has been passed down for generations, currently belonging to her grandsons, the Robinson brothers. The island is off limits to all outsiders unless the brothers Bruce and Keith personally invite you for a visit. The people of Niihau are noted for their remarkable craftsmanship and mainly speak in Hawaiian. The reason they have kept the island off limits to the outside world is due to a promise made to a former Hawaiian king. The promise was to protect the island from the mainland and the rest of the world to maintain the beloved heritage, and that's exactly what they've done. To this day, Niihau has rejected the use of modern technologies and survives without electricity, running water, internet, stores, restaurants, paved roads, or cars. A modern-day ancient civilization. It would be fascinating to see how they do things over on Niihau, but it's nice to know they've kept their promise for so long.
And we're starting things off with Bohemian Grove in Monte Rio, California. This almost 3,000-acre campground is completely off limits unless you're incredibly rich. Also, no girls allowed. This is a men's only camping retreat. Every year, the Grove plays host to a gathering of the creme de la creme, the powerful and influential from all walks of life. But what exactly goes on within this place? That's the million-dollar question, my friend. There are only whispers and rumors, tales of peculiar rituals and mysterious ceremonies. One tale that's made the rounds is about a massive owl statue said to preside over the grounds. It's said that this owl becomes the focal point for a gathering of hooded figures, world leaders, powerful businessmen, and even renowned artists who engage in some kind of secretive ritual. Access to Bohemian Grove is tightly guarded, surrounded by military personnel, and the entire area is completely off limits to prying eyes and cameras. So something's going on in there. Political discussions, covert deals, and who knows what else. This one really creeps me out. I don't like the idea of uber powerful rich men meeting in the middle of the forest and performing rituals. That's just too cultish for me. I'm imagining that they put on cloaks and owl masks and then like sacrifice virgins or something. Hopefully they just hang out and talk about the stock market. But why you wouldn't be able to do that with women around and you'd need armed guards surrounding the place certainly raises a lot of questions though. Next on the list we have spy hubs. These mysterious windowless buildings are located in 8 different cities across the United States, and as to what goes on inside them, nobody knows, other than the people who work there, of course. These buildings are operated by the NSA, or the National Security Agency for long, with buildings in Atlanta, Chicago, Dallas, Los Angeles, New York City, San Francisco, Seattle, and Washington, D.C. These facilities are said to be built to withstand earthquakes or even nuclear attacks. I don't know why every building can't have that level of fortitude. I guess the no windows thing would be a bit of a drag, but now nobody knows exactly what goes on inside of these buildings, but there is some evidence that suggests it's part of a spy initiative, or surveillance initiative, monitoring billions of different people's computers, internet activity within the United States, emails, chats, even phone calls. Next up, we have Diego Garcia. This top secret military base is currently occupied by the United States military and is located on a remote island in the middle of the Indian Ocean. The naval base is equipped with radar, space tracking, and communications facility and is primarily used to support US and Allied forces deployed to the Indian Ocean. But due to how locked down the place is, there have been a variety of different conspiracy theories floating around. In 2008, a Time magazine article stated that there was a secret prison located on the island, housing those deemed or expected to be particularly dangerous threats to the United States, and also prisoners of war. There's also a theory that the missing Malaysia Airlines flight MH370 was shot down close to the base, potentially shot down by the US military after the plane was hacked. Coming in at number 7, we have Mount Weather. Nestled amidst the picturesque Blue Ridge Mountains sits the Mount Weather Emergency Operations Center, completely off limits to the public. But why? Oh, why is it off limits? It's home to a top secret government facility, one that plays a crucial role in the continuity of government operations. This underground complex, hidden beneath the surface, is said to be a fortress-like haven designed to withstand catastrophic events and serve as a command center in times of national emergency. Some even speculate that it serves as a refuge for high-ranking officials, ensuring the survival of governance in the nation. Mount Weather is tightly guarded, fences, checkpoints, surveillance systems, which it discourages any attempts to venture too close. The secrecy surrounding this place has of course fueled all sorts of theories and speculations. What sensitive super secret material could possibly be housed there? Is this an Area 51 situation? Or maybe it could be aliens stored somewhere in there? We'll probably never know. Next up, we have Skinwalker Ranch in Utah. This is one a lot of people have probably heard of. This stretch of land is renowned for being one of the strangest places, not just in the United States, but in the entire world. This remote area has been the site of reported sightings of strange creatures, unexplained lights, and other odd events that have left, locals, paranormal enthusiasts, everybody is just very intrigued by this place. One of the most perplexing phenomena witnessed at Skinwalker Ranch is the appearance of strange creatures. Some call them skinwalkers. According to Native American legends, skinwalkers possess the ability to transform into various animal forms and are associated with dark magic and witchcraft. Witnesses claim to have encountered strange animals with glowing red eyes, unscathed by bullets in the area. The ranch is also plagued by very frequent UFO sightings. Witnesses have reported seeing unusual flying objects maneuvering through the sky with incredible speed, performing maneuvers that defy the laws of physics. These sightings have led to speculation that the ranch may be a hotspot for extraterrestrial activity, attracting beings from other worlds. The ranch experiences a range of strange and terrifying occurrences like bizarre electromagnetic fluctuations, unexplained animal mutilations, sudden changes in weather patterns. Even scientific investigations conducted on the ranch have documented strange phenomena that defy conventional explanations. At number 5, we have Dulce Base. Dulce Base, located in the remote town of Dulce, New Mexico, has become the subject of very intense speculation and a hotbed for conspiracy theories. This alleged underground facility is believed to house extraterrestrial life. Some believe that there's this joint operation going on between extraterrestrial beings and the US government, a secretive hub for alien research and experimentation, where humans and extraterrestrials work together on advanced technologies and genetic manipulation. Some think that the aliens are actually the ones operating the facility. Proponents of this theory claim that horrific experiments, including abductions, mind control, and human-animal hybrids are being conducted in the facility. Whistleblowers and self-proclaimed insiders have emerged, sharing tales of witnessing these disturbing events and the existence of a highly guarded cover-up. Next on the list is Morgan Island in South Carolina, which is home to thousands of monkeys. The first of these monkeys were transported to the island in 1979 after an outbreak of herpes B virus spread through the Caribbean Primate Research Center in Puerto Rico. Now these monkeys are thriving on Morgan Island, but too bad you can't visit them. The island is completely off limits to the public, but why? Seems like a lot of money probably be made allowing people to come and see them. The thing is, a number of these monkeys are taken from the island each year and used for animal testing. Vaccines for AIDS, polio, and even bioterrorism have been tested on these monkeys. It's a controversial practice, to say the least, especially when you consider something else, that maybe these monkeys are being harvested and tested on to become super monkeys. Biomechanical creatures to be deployed in the United States military. Ever thought of that? It's a possibility. I can dream. Coming at number 3 is the Coca-Cola Vault. As it turns out, one of the most heavily guarded places in North America was constructed to protect this highly precious commodity. The vault, which is located in the World of Coca-Cola Museum in Atlanta, Georgia, is there for the public to look at, but not to look in. It's a giant bank-type vault, virtually impenetrable. This is just proof that Coca-Cola will always be superior to Pepsi, by the way. Where's your top secret formula hidden within an impenetrable vault? Huh? Pepsi? Plot twist though, maybe they're actually located in the exact same place and have been working together this whole time. No better way to take the focus off the potential competition than to have two huge brands battle it out for supremacy and take all the spotlight in the process. It actually kinda makes sense. At our number 2 spot, we have the George Bush Center for Intelligence, commonly known as Langley. Within the serene surroundings of Virginia, this sprawling complex, which at one time was the largest intelligence headquarters in the world, serves as the headquarters for the Central Intelligence Agency, the CIA. So, unless you're a member, you're not getting in. Its very location, tucked away from prying eyes, has led to conspiracies about covert activities that may be taking place inside of it. One theory revolves around the alleged existence of secret underground tunnels connected to other big government installations, that perhaps these tunnels facilitate secretive operations and allow for covert movement of personal and secretive information hidden from public scrutiny. Some conspiracy theorists claim that the center acts as a hub for controlling global affairs, manipulating governments, and even orchestrating international conflicts. Theories have floated around for years about the agency's involvement in political coups and even mind control experiments. But coming in at our number 1 spot is the most well-known secret place on the planet, which is a bit of a contradictory statement: Area 51. Area 51, the highly classified United States Air Force facility located in the Nevada desert, has long been shrouded in mystery, fueled by countless conspiracy theories. The secrecy surrounding this site has sparked widespread speculation and curiosity. One of the most well-known conspiracies is that Area 51 holds evidence of extraterrestrial life and serves as a hub for alien technology research. Believers argue that crashed UFOs and their occupants are secretly stored and studied within the base. Some even believe that aliens actually work within the facility. These claims have, of course, given rise to stories of reverse engineering advanced alien spacecrafts, leading to the development of advanced military technology that, well surpasses anything publicly known. Another mystery surrounding Area 51 is its alleged connection to top secret government experiments and projects in general, not having to do anything with aliens. Some theories suggest that this facility is involved in testing and developing advanced aircraft, stealth technology, and even time travel capabilities.